we have KevBun playing Anodyne. Please take it away.
Hello, and I'm Kev. I'm running Anodyne's 100% category. On my couch will be Rich and Adelor are their names. Neither of them runs this game, but they've been watching me practice a little bit, and so they'll be here to provide thoughts as we go. This category, 100% is the goal is to pick up 37 of the cards scattered throughout the game and all of the health. That'll require us to beat all of the bosses of the dungeons of this game. This is a top-down sort of Zelda-like game, if you've never seen it before. But this category allows the use of glitches, and we're going to use one pretty much right away to break the hell out of this game. So you'll see that. I think we should be good to go whenever. Alright. The game only has one save file. We're playing in Japanese because text scrolls faster, that's basically it. And timing begins as soon as I press C to start. So, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Good luck, Kev.
Good luck, Kev.
So, there's a bit of text mashing through this tutorial. Text mashing can be done by just holding down the button, but it won't actually close out a text box, so you have to manually hit to close out a text box. Here, this is just teaching us how to interact with objects, interact with those two computers, and head on through. That's telling us how to open the menu, but we won't actually do that yet. Let's see. A little bit of talking in this first section. We just move through this area. It's an area we'll revisit later, although not this particular screen. You can jump through these portals. For some reason, you don't have to actually be in front of them to interact with them. That function was to return to the entrance of a dungeon. We can do that in any dungeon, and this screen, for some reason, is counted as a dungeon despite being an overworld location. This is the broom. It's the weapon we will use, and now we start with our first glitch of the game. This is the only glitch we use. For some reason, screen transitioning lets you move 1 pixel into an object, and moving 6 pixels into a tile will let you walk into the next tile. We're going to use that to really, really break the beginning of the game.
A bit of kind of wobbling back and forth to make these transitions happen, but it's all necessary. We got to do it. We got to go through these walls and get to where we're going much faster than usual.
Yep. So we saved there. That's what that was. Those checkpoints let us save. This is Mitra. She's an important character in the normal story of the game. We will see her 3 times, and she won't do anything important in any of those appearances, except for the middle one.
And she has a really cool bike.
She's got she crashes it immediately, but she probably knows how to fix it.
The bike's name is Wares. It's her friend. Don't worry about this visual effect. That means we are outside the bounds of the map. That'll happen, some. We're gonna do that a bit. Every map is laid out on a grid, and that visual effect is what happens when you go outside this grid. This screen is important, but for us, it's just gonna be because we're transitioning out here. Doing a little bit more clipping into stuff. Fortunately, we'll actually have a better method for getting out of bounds than this very soon, but for the moment we're stuck just sort of wiggling back and forth to get through screens here. Normally we'd have to do a little quest to get past that guy, and then we'd go somewhere sort of approximating where we're going now. Don't worry about this completely black screen. That I know where I'm going, and that's what matters. Those cards are the object of the game. We're getting all those cards throughout the course of the game. What I'm doing now is we're walking outside the edge of the map, and we will be heading back into the map in a place where we can transition to the next map. There's going to be a fair bit of that in this run. So here, this is normally the last area of the game that you would clear. That's our friend, the village elder. He's a sage, and he would tell us what our mission is and what we'd need to do, but we're actually going to skip talking to him because he talks a lot.
As village elders tend to do.
Don't worry about this. We're just gonna leave the map and walk back into... For some reason, every map in this game contains, to the left and right of it, an infinite number of copies of it, each sequentially shifted 1 pixel up. So currently we're in the map we were in before, but shifted 1 tile up. I can't really explain why that's the way that it is, but it is consistent behavior.
You did describe to me as similar to Super 64 Parallel Worlds.
Yeah, it does. It is essentially that, except since this game doesn't have any momentum, there's no real way to take advantage of, like, jumping through multiple of them to get to a different location. We just have to walk manually. So this is the last area of the game. Normally we'd have to do a lot of stuff to get here. And that thing we just picked up is called the swap tool, and I will show you what it does in a moment. Normally we'd have to beat the game to use it, except for in this screen, where we will use it for its intended purpose, which is solving this puzzle. The solution to that puzzle is the bosses of the last 3 of the 6 dungeons in the game that we haven't seen, but the solution's fixed, so we can use it here. What I'm doing now is we're going to clip past the final boss's arena to beat the game, because as I said, normally to be able to use that swap tool, we would need to beat the final boss. So we're going to skip past him. At the moment, though, this would be a good time if we have, like, a donation or so. This would be a good time to read it.
Thank you. We do have a donation from Robert G. for $5. There's no comment, but it did include an incentive donation to name the character Baldur and Gate in Baldur's Gate. Just so you know, Robert G., we cannot use special characters in the name, but our runner will appropriately change that to something close to that if it wins. Thank you.
All right, great. So that's the final boss's arena. Normally he'd be there, but we're going to skip him. That's the final boss, but in this run we actually don't fight him, because this is a 100% run. We're collecting all the collectibles, and the final boss doesn't have any collectibles. So we're just going to watch the ending cutscene. If you've played through the whole game and can read what's happening, which is not the case during this run, it's kind of a neat little heartwarming scene, and a good cap to the game, but we can't, so here we are. This is the fade out, and then we will see the credits, and we'll be able to use that swap tool anywhere, and we're just gonna run an absolute mock of the game and go wherever we feel like.
Congratulations, you beat Anodyne.
We did it. We beat Anodyne. That's it. Thanks for coming.
Now let's go get most of the things. So basically, this run plays like most of the game in like a post-game state where you've completed the main story, technically. But then like let's go get all these health upgrades and cards and things that we want to actually qualify for 100%. So that's what we're gonna do next.
Yeah,
the majority of the
cool memories of the game that we're gonna go make, I guess.
Yeah. Basically,
That's
we're playing.
of all the
Majority
bosses.
Is cleanup. It's a cleanup run.
Yep.
Appropriate that we have a broom.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That path is very similar to the any percent path. It's not quite exactly the same because we picked up a collectible in the broom. So now, here's the swap tool. We've swapped a pathable tile for a not pathable one and walked through a wall. That's going to be the theme going forward. Bats suck. They do that they just did. We're not a fan of bats in this run. So bats are really easy. They're one hit with your broom. But I would have to menu to my broom because the downside to swap is we can't actually attack while we have swap equipped. So we try to menu to our broom as little as possible. And that's one of my favorite... Oh, that's the wrong menu. We want to be here. There we go. We're jumping back out to the menu to the save point. This is a save point we took while we were walking through on the way to the end of the game. It's the first save point we use after the end of the game, and we use it to jump back there. There's going to be a lot of jumping to save points and a lot of that return to entrance feature that I showed earlier in this run. There's a card. So, like I said, our goal mainly is to collect all the cards. So this is the back of the first dungeon. We need to take a save out here. And then we will jump to the front of the first dungeon using return to entrance. So now this is how you're going to see most of the dungeons. We're going to skip most of the puzzles using the swap tool and just grab the important objects. That chest just contains a key, and we will actually manage to use 0 keys during this run in this very Zelda-like game. So, that we're back outside the map. We're going to go fight the first boss of the game, so we menu back to our broom that does damage. And here we are. This is the first boss of the game. He talks a lot. Like a lot. His name is the Seer. Actually gets brought up in one of the later dungeons, too. I missed that hit. But he goes down pretty quickly. Yep. And talks at us some more. But his pattern is to bounce back and forth. He actually has a whole additional set of attacks that we don't get to see because he just goes down pretty quickly. It turns out the game expects you to be standing at the bottom of the screen, and when you can just start above him and hit him immediately, it cuts off a lot of time from the fight.
Kind of a running theme for this, for getting some of these bosses actually we're entering from the top instead of the bottom, and the game kind of doesn't exactly expect that.
It's true. And here's the village elder to tell us that we need to get all those keys because they'll let us go where we need to, except that we're going to get none of those keys because they play a really long animation. I had actually forgotten how long it was until I was doing a casual run through this game recently, and I was very surprised to see how long that animation was. It's a mess, but we're going to go around all of the doors that we would normally need those keys to open anyway. So this is the one of the late areas of the game. It's got this weird staticky filter. It's actually one of the most unsettling areas in the game normally. And normally we'd have to beat the three first dungeons to move some statues. You saw us go around one a minute ago. To be able to get to any of these back zones, but it's just more convenient to go to this one first because of where it's located, so we will actually see the statues move later on. We'll move them, but it's not convenient to wait to go here until we've moved it.
And I get some Yumi Nikki vibes from this area. This little
a little
area.
bit. It is a little... It's got that feeling. And this game, actually, you can tell when you die, which ideally we will not do. If you choose not to continue, you go to a room that looks a lot like the room from Yumi Nikki.
Oh, that's interesting. And also, he broke this guy's house, but it's fine. He fixed it later.
This isn't a house, it's an apartment complex. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Stuff goes back to normal when we screen transition. So this is some more of that excellent... That reverses your controls is very annoying. Some more of that excellent dungeon navigation where we go through dungeons in a definitely intended fashion. So, that's all of the cards for this dungeon. Most dungeons have 2 to 3 cards, one for the boss that I don't usually count because we have to pick that one up more or less. Yeah. So this dungeon is actually really, really fast in this fashion. The layout is such that we get through it really quickly. This is the boss. He is the biggest spot of RNG in the game and very annoying. He always does this attack first, but he can do one of 3 attacks afterwards. Ideally, we will see that attack again. No, we got one of the really slow attacks. Oh, that's good, though. He only did it once. That's one of the best patterns I've seen. Oh, and of course, if we fall off, it doesn't do us any good. Come on. There we go. Got him.
And again, you see the power of swap here when you're not supposed to have it. You kind of just be able to make a safe spot above the pattern of the very random fireballs dropping attack and just kind of sit up there and beat him up.
And wail on him. Yep. Unfortunately, like I said, that boss is almost completely RNG, and there's nothing, as far as I'm aware, you can do to control it. I know somebody tried setting specific date-time settings on their console, or on their computer, to get particular patterns, but honestly, there's not very good evidence that actually helped. So what we've done now is return to an area called the Nexus. This is actually where we started the game, and it's a big hub area that you would normally use to travel between sections of the game if you were cleaning up collectibles, which is what we're using it for. We passed through this square for 2 reasons originally, but the big one was to get that Nexus teleport point. This is the game telling us that we can pick up dust with our broom. Normally we would have figured that out in the first area, but skipped over that text, and we haven't picked up any dust since. This is an area that is a big maze that you have to go through on a boat with water like this. You sink into water if you don't have something to ride on, so we get this dust. And normally you'd have to do a big maze to get back here to this, and also to get to the next card we're going to grab, but we're essentially just skipping through the maze to the end, another thing you will see a lot of theme of in this game. So we're going to do a weird thing here. Turns out there's squares outside the map. What we've done just there is grab a square from outside of the map. For some reason, squares outside the map are pathable. I guess to allow you to walk from one map to the other. But there are a number of locations where we will grab squares from outside the map to allow us to path over obstacles we would not normally. So this here is where we would move all of those statues once we had beaten the 3 first dungeons, and we are going to go here and move the statues, even though we've only beaten one of the 3 dungeons. We climb up this big windmill, and that's it. We'll turn it on, and the statues will move. We'll see the cutscene. Here we go. This is a good time for a donation if you have one.
Unfortunately, we do not currently have any new donations, but I just did want to tell anyone who is considering donating, we very much appreciate your donations, and if you donate at least $5, you can win prizes. Today, the prizes are a custom Perler pixel art paw print, a Fastest for Spring Spectacular Marathon t-shirt, a Squirtle Perler bead set, a Planet Coaster Steam key, a Niflheim Steam key, and a $10 Steam gifts card. Thank you very much.
All right. Excellent. So the only reason that we watched that cutscene, since we don't need to move the statues as I demonstrated earlier, is because we need the card at the base of the windmill, and that chest is not accessible unless you've watched that cutscene. There's not really any way to cut it out. Just gotta watch it. So this is a little forest area. There's some rabbits in this forest. We may or may not see them. There's one. They just run away from you. There's one rabbit we'll see who does not run away from you. He tells you he's not afraid, and good for him, but we're gonna ignore him. Let's see. That was another grabbing a square from outside the map. Bats are the worst. That's the only bat we get to kill in the whole game, but it's very satisfying. You have to do really weird walk patterns to avoid being hit by a bat. I'm going to go ahead and take a save here just for safety.
Yeah, they're kind of wild with how they circle around you.
Yeah. There's a trick that we're going to do here, or a movement pattern where if we screw it up, we'll get stuck, and it would be nice to not have to walk all the way back just in case. Very intended method of moving. There we go. That was it. We're good. Well, hopefully that was it. Oh, that was the thing that I didn't want to have happen. That's fine, though. It'll be okay. Yeah, what happened there was I stepped off of the square that I was on and can't path back onto it, so I'm just gonna have to go back across. It'll be fine though.
You put yourself in the square hole.
Yeah, exactly. We don't like the square hole around here. There we go. This is a dog. Dogs are an annoying enemy in this game. They charge at you and bark.
You can't pet them.
This here is Mitra's second appearance. She's actually giving us the ability to jump. There's another way to get this in the game, but if you haven't got it by now, the game's like, okay, you're not going to figure it out. You need to have these. And so she gave us the ability to jump. It's not any faster to jump with the exception of the bottom of ladders. It's faster to jump up those. This is the back of the second dungeon in the game, or one of the first 3. You can do them in any order depending on where you find them. But this is the back of the second one. It doesn't expect us to be entering from this side, but it matters less because the boss fades in. Here he is. This is the wall. He can soft lock the game with this attack if you kill him during it. So we're gonna not do that. Not kill him during that attack. That's the plan.
Technical reason is something to do with the fact that it wants to play a number of sound effects for that attack. Yep. But if you kill it in the middle of it, it can't like play the last sound effects. The game basically just gets stuck.
So the game goes, wait, there's supposed to be a sound effect here. Why can't I play it? And just freezes up. Fortunately, that's the only one that we have to watch for. Every other attack is safe. And he didn't use the attack at the time when we were going to kill him, so it works out. We're fine.
Have you ever got soft locked in practice during a run for this dude?
Not during the practice for this marathon, because by the time I started running this game, we knew why the soft block happens. But it did used to be pretty common for people to get stuck there just because they were wailing on the boss and we didn't know why. One of the developers actually on Discord told us, figured out why that happened when the bug was reported and let us know. So it's taken care of now. So this is one of the modifiers for our broom. That's lengthen. It gives us a longer attack range. We will use it. We'll go get another one called widen, make our broom attack wider instead of longer. We will never use widen in the speedrun, and I'll be honest, playing back through casually, I realized that it's not that useful casually either, except for puzzles. That, we just jumped backwards over a staircase. That's possible there and, like, basically nowhere else in the game that I'm aware of. Oops. That's possible there and not very... Okay, there we go. Possible there and not very many other places in the run, and that's the only place it's useful, but it's my favorite trick in the game because we just jump backwards over a staircase. Makes me laugh a little bit. That's it. This is another entrance. This dungeon would normally be done in multiple parts. That's another entrance to the dungeon. The maps are all connected on a single, like, path. Alright, now we return to the entrance, and here we go. So we're going to go back up to the dungeon that we would normally have to move the statue from this dungeon to get to. This is the only dog in the whole game that doesn't attack you. He's the goodest boy. Can't take time to talk with him because he has a lot of dialogue, as most things in this game do. It's actually a pretty atmospheric, dialogue-heavy game, and the music is great, as much as talking over it and blazing through it, but pretty much every single song in here is nice or relaxing and or a bop or atmospheric. Just a really good range of music. Absolutely great work done with those. This area is just a big transitional area between the two. It's like the village, except unlike the village, it's not unbelievably creepy and doesn't have enemies in it. So we're just going to walk through, grab the couple of cards, and just have a nice little break here.
This area has some really interesting writing to it. If you actually play through the game normally and like talk to the NPCs and stuff, there's some really cool monologue and dialogue going on here.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite little sections of the game, honestly.
Is this break a good time for a donation?
It would be a great time for a donation, yes.
Wonderful. I have a donation for someone I believe that you might know you. It is from Gick. It says...
Geek.
Geek. It says, "Hi Kev, hi Rich, hi Adalor. All y'all doing great." I'm gonna pronounce this badly. Banui?
Is it saying Banui?
Banui, yes. Banui. This Gick did not give to an incentive, so I'm gonna say that this goes to runner's choice. Do you have a choice here, Kev?
Oh, let's see. What are the options currently?
We have a goal for Baldur's Gate talking to Noober, and we have bid wars for the name of the character in Baldur's Gate or for the healing touch shape on Trauma Center.
Oh, what are the healing touch shape options?
Down arrow, star, Triforce, and W.
Let's do Triforce.
Hell yeah, Triforce.
Hell yeah.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Geek.
Thank you, Geek.
We love you, Geek.
So this is actually, this is actually probably the coolest dungeon in the whole game. It's laid out hugely. It's intended to look like a big hotel, and it's really fun to go through casually. A lot of interesting layout and puzzles to get through. We're gonna do none of that. You're gonna see almost none of this dungeon, unfortunately. But it is what it is. We basically just save right next to the elevator and then take the shortest possible path to every collectible. We access elevators from the side. Yeah, normally the puzzle would be to open these two gates, but there's only one wall separating us, and walls are a suggestion anyway. This is the manager. He bounces around a little bit. We don't like him.
So tell us, Wild, the architect clearly had a dream.
Yeah. This is the pool. He asks you how you like the pool.
I like the pool.
when you start the fight. That was a little messy. There's a strat for this fight where we just like stand here and he bounces and we're fine. Too far up. Yeah, a lot of the bosses have strats where they pretty much can't touch you if you stand in a particular location. It's very safe in a lot of the boss fights. That one in particular, the second phase, is extremely safe. Now we go grab the card for that boss.
I will say, I just love how health ups work in this game, where the little thing just chews on the black void of your bar and just gives you an extra red.
Yeah,
Cool,
I
yeah.
think that's just an adorable little detail. So we're back here in the Nexus, where we're going to go to another portal. We're going to go to one... We skipped some dialogue from the Sage here, and if we walk too far up, he will still say it to us, so we have to be careful both times that we go there to not walk into a location where he will talk at us. And now we're going to do some more outside the map walking. Alright, and this is the beach. The beach is a nice little relaxing location to visit around about sunset time. We need to go through this square because we need that Nexus portal. We're going to use it in a minute. There's a chest there, and like all chests in this game, we go directly to it instead of walking around like we're supposed to. We're just going to continue on our way through the walls here. Normally you'd have to go around and do some stuff to get here, but we can just walk around, and here's the health up for this. Each zone has one health up, each boss has one health up, so that works out pretty smoothly. And now we're going to jump back to that Nexus portal that we got, and here we go. So, normally at this stage in the game, we would need to do a very unpleasant thing where we push that guy into the whirlpool, and it's very, very not nice. He's just fishing. So instead, we're going to go around, and we're just going to go into the whirlpool without pushing him in, spare him, and skip a little cutscene that would play that is... So remember, if it takes you longer to die than one cutscene, that's how you avoid speedrunners.
Thankfully, this time around, it is optimal to be nice.
This dungeon has a cool design too, actually, that I rather like, where it's one of the more Zelda-like of all the dungeons in the game, where the dungeon is separated into sections in a... sections with different entrances, and you would go and you would, like, destroy a little thing that opens up the next area of the dungeon. We'll actually walk past one of them without destroying it, so I can point it out at that time, but you would open up the different sections of the dungeon that way. Whoop, accidentally grabbed that key. We're not going to use it. This game registers any input while you're pressed up against a chest as being interacting with that chest, so that's what happened there. That's one of the things that you would destroy, and this is a weird sprite of the boss that would normally be a post-game Easter egg. We're just going to walk right through that room. We do need to... Now we get to see Lengthen, that I mentioned earlier, and we'll use it against the boss as well. When you start out of bounds, jumping into a pit will put you out of bounds again. We actually used that earlier, and I didn't mention it at the time. This staircase is normally inaccessible in the game. You walk right past it after you beat the boss that's coming up here, but you won't be able to see this. You won't be able to ever get to the staircase. This is the boss, the rogue. We're gonna, whoops, not widen. Whoop. Not widen, we want lengthen. This boss bounces around the room a whole bunch, but if you go over here, or off position a little bit, there it is. He will still be attackable, and he won't use any of the obnoxious attacks that cause him to move around the room. This is just a little safe spot. I don't know why his AI never chooses to use one of the attacks where he bounces around the room or can hit you. He just keeps attacking like you're directly in front of him, if you stand in that location specifically. Programming is hard. It's hard to catch all that stuff. So, now we're getting pretty close to the end. We've only got one more dungeon, and it's the dungeon that would normally come immediately after this. Yeah.
Well, I have a little bit of incentive for you if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
From Ish, it says,
Oh.
when you think about it, Moogles are just Benuis. So both Kev and Rich should really keep Koopoing. And that was a $50 donation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ish.
This is a huge maze with a neat little different sprite look to the rest of the game. And normally you would have to go all over the place in this maze. It's actually one of the most complicated maps to move through casually. Fortunately, there's a portal to really, really deep in the maze right there. Normally, it wouldn't put you anywhere particularly useful, but because we can walk through walls, we can use it to get to a really out-of-the-way location. But navigating this map is really interesting. Like, it's a very legit... Oops. I'll grab the spikes. It's a very legitimate maze that you have to find your way through. We're going to go around it, because that's what we do.
Yeah, this area is actually really cool if you're not just breaking every wall and going literally wherever you want. It's super neat.
And whoops, kick this back out. There we go. This is the last dungeon. You'd normally have to go through that maze to get here. Oh hey, circumventing an obstacle in an intended fashion. Don't do that often. That's one of the cards. Here we are. And... this dungeon has a cool kind of circusy aesthetic. It's neat, kind of somber and strange, normally. And it would be separated into two sections, that orange section and this purple section. This is a clown stack. We don't like clown stacks. They explode randomly into clowns.
Nobody likes it.
We have to do some combat in this dungeon, which is a thing you won't have seen much of, and it's because... oh, I accidentally talked to that rock, because we're just slightly too far over. We have to do some combat, because those gates are one of the few things that we can't go around with swap. There we go. One of the few things we can't go around with swap. And as you'll see, there's one blocking the front of chests. Chests are only accessible from the front, so if there's a gate directly in front of a chest, we actually do have to do whatever it takes to open that gate. And here, as you can see, we needed that card. This is the only place. It's weird that it happens twice in one dungeon. Just taking a safety save there. Weird that it happens twice in one dungeon. This is the last boss we're going to fight, and actually the end of the game will be pretty quickly after we get this, when we pick up the last card.
The last card, yeah.
So this is ideal. They have two different attacks. That one that they just used where the one person gets thrown at you, and one where they jump into a corner and spew fire. That was a really good pattern, getting that attack twice. That's what we want to see, because we can just wail on them while the hitbox stands still and the other one runs around the room.
That was a super ideal fight, yeah.
That was really, really good for that fight, honestly.
Yeah, no, compared to practice last night, that was way faster.
Yep, and we're going to be done in, as soon as I open this chest. And that's time right there. That's the last card. We've got all 37 cards. We got all the health upgrades. And we have all of the broom extensions. That's 100% Anodyne. A little bit of an anticlimax ending with that boss fight instead of the final boss. But glitchless, you get to see the final boss, the glitchless 100%, or the all bosses category. So I recommend looking into both of those if you're interested in the two boss fights that we skipped.
Good game.
That's everything we have. Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome job, Kev.
All right.
Yeah, good job, Kev. And there's one thing I want to say about this game is I think every game needs an end of game break the game item.
It's really fun to be able to just go wherever you want. And there's like even some post-game Easter eggs that are intended for you to find later by exploring. It's a super cool design.
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of rooms. In fact, every boss has an inaccessible room like this one in the boss, like after the boss, that you would have to come back with swap to get. So, this is an interesting game. I highly recommend looking into it if this looked interesting to you, or even if you just like Zelda games with kind of a somber tone. I strongly recommend looking into it. It's a great casual playthrough. And again, thank you so much for having us.
And you've done a great job of showing off exactly how amazing this game is. If you have anything left to say, please say it now.
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations, and hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks for having us.